Honestly, I say like our team is just really focusing on like our technique and just trying to get ourselves better, not worried about too much of the outside noise or what that other team has going on, just worrying about ourselves and focusing on what we got to do.
Bergen, Bosco, mark a calendar, hire babysitter, because the biggest rivalry in New Jersey goes down this week. And you know there's only one place that can get you hyped up and give you exclusive interviews leading up to the big game. Welcome, everybody, to the Garden Statement. Yes, it is one of the biggest weeks in New Jersey for high school football. Don Bosco, Bergen Catholic squaring up. If you're a football fan, nowhere else you'd rather be. Before we jump into this year's battle, we got a flashback to last year when these two met up in Oradell in the rain for a thriller. And Bergen going right to work. Early in the first, it's Don Campanelli linking up with Ohio State's Quincy Porter. Quincy, filthy. That sets up a short run for Dante Kane, and that's how Bergen would take a 7-0 lead to start. Midway through the second, Bosco finally on the board with 6 minutes left. Dante DeLuca coming through for 6, and we're tied at 7s. A bit later, a smelly smell that was smelled by Naeem. It was all a dream. Paris says that's just some fresh cookies. More from him later, but we stay tied at the half. Third quarter, it's still 7-7 less than 3 minutes in. Bosco punting has some snap issues, and this ball sails clean over the punter, and you don't want to be in that position with Bergen unless you're Ben Carey. Carey scoops it up, and that's a special teams touchdown for BC. They take a 14-7 lead. Oh, goodness. And that led to probably the biggest play of the game. Quarterback Devin Sisler sliding, takes one to the head, and was down for some time. A bit of a scary moment, but he would be okay. He even played in the next meeting with BC. Bosco showing heart, though, as they're in the red zone with Dylan Rona shortly after. Rona hands it off to Dante DeLuca, and DeLuca fired up as he gets in for his second TD. We're tied at 14, 2:51 remains. But don't tell that to Bergen. Less than 2 minutes later, Dom Campanelli launches it to Brian Porter. Oh, goodness, what a diving catch. Bergen taking a 21-14 lead with 1:07 remaining. We'll fast forward following a Bergen field goal in the fourth to make it a 10-point game 2 minutes in. Jordan Thomas, don't throw around here. Fresh cookies. But hold up, late in the game, Bosco finding life after an Isaiah Alvarez touchdown. The score is down to 4 with 2:50 left after a blocked extra point. Ironmen go for the onside kick and get it. That's Makhai Allen, the junior linebacker. Got the Bosco student section going wild. However, on the final play of the game, it's a double pass to Rennick Dorless. This one sailing for some time, and that's enough for Naeem Parrish to get pick number 2. And he ends it with some fresh cookies. 24-20 the final. You know the rest. The two meet again at MetLife for the non-public A final, and Bergen wins it convincingly 25-7 to capture their 4th straight non-public A title. All right, hopefully some of you enjoyed a trip down memory lane. Let's jump to this year's matchup that is going down up in Ramsey. Yes, the Ironmen are hosting this matchup. It's their long-heated rival. Some of the players to look out for in this one, as you can see from our graphic provided by NJ Gridiron, Jordan Thomas, the Ohio State commit, is going to be lining it up back there at corner. You also have one of arguably the best running back in the state, Najee Calhoun, an all-star receiver in Brian Porter. And then, of course, on the defensive line, you got my main man, Jermaine Kinsler, holding it down. We also have the likes of Xavier Jackson. Shout out to him. He is a UNC commit. And our guy, Austin Busso, who stopped by not too long ago at receiver. This young man, something special. I mean, he's definitely, if you're a college coach, how are you not circling this guy? And then on the other side, and can't forget my guy, Vito Campanelli. All right, chasing history right now. A 5-peat. Very possible for him and company. And then on the other side, my guys from Don Bosco, Coach Sabella leading his team to a current 3-0 record. So we're going to have two undefeated rivals facing off in this one. And we have some big hitters like Phoenix Evans, Makhai Allen, who we do have an interview with coming up, Carson Schoen, Dante DeLuca, the powerful running back, my guy I don't want to butcher his name, but JT Garachi, tight end for Don Bosco. Look for him to make some big plays this weekend. And then another one, keep the hard names coming, Matt Ochapinti, the UCF commit, lining it up at linebacker for the Ironmen. Star-studded event. When these two get together, it's always something special, as you just saw from last year's first matchup. This one going down all the way to the wire, despite quarterback Devin Sisler not being there. And this might be one of the most hyped matchups that these guys have in the regular season. As stated, this is 1-2 in the state, both undefeated, both have been tested by out-of-state opponents, and both have reloaded very well after that state championship run. And I think one of the most interesting parts of this matchup between these two is the fact that we have two sophomore quarterbacks going at it. You know, two storied programs, I guess with a lot to lose. It's bragging rights, like I said, for the biggest rivalry in New Jersey. But, you know, shout out to both of these quarterbacks. I'm excited to see both of them in person. They've obviously been getting the job done on the road, out of state, things like that. Listen, we've talked a lot about Bergen here on this show, as we should. They're the number one team in the state. You know, not to reiterate things that I've said in the past, but it's just, listen, until somebody knocks them off, it's really hard to go against Bergen. Now, Bosco, I know they've had some time to sit on that tough state championship loss. I don't doubt that you're hosting this one on your home turf. You're looking for a get back. And from what I've heard, a lot of people just favoring BC in this one. Now, like I just said, until somebody knocks off Bergen, it's going to be really hard for me to go against them. This is going to be a tough battle. I think the fact that both of these teams have been tested late in games, Bergen with that East St. Louis game, and then Don Bosco winning that crazy comeback, for a comeback victory over Melissa, Texas to start the year. Even though I'm just going to say I'm leaning towards Bergen, it really is hard to definitively count Don Bosco out of this one. I mean, they're very well coached, and you're going to see here in a little bit from the interview with Makhai Allen that, you would think that there would be some, I guess, anger, things looming over after you have a tough loss like that to your rival, not only twice, but in the state championship. It just seems like Bosco is in a different headspace this year. And, for all these weapons that Bergen has, they definitely, the defense is the defense and the special teams has really held it down for them. Obviously, they're putting points up on the board. But in my opinion, one of them, if not the most important player in this one, is definitely Najee Calhoun. He gives them the opportunity to run the ball, free up, some of those, set them up on offense, get out some of these passes to the likes of, like you said, Austin Busso, Brian Porter, and to give him some more praise, Matt Tagliaferri has really, really showed some poise here, being just a sophomore. So I think it's going to be everything that Bergen Bosco is hyped up to be. Crowd's going to be rocking. This one is definitely coming down to the wire. I don't expect a blowout for everybody on social media, just saying it's going to be, a cakewalk for Bergen. Regardless of what the outcome is, this is a treat. It always feels like state championship week whenever these two get together. And I know both of these teams and coaching staffs and fan bases pretty well for the most part. I never go as far as to call myself an expert, but having just covered both of these teams extensively in the past. I know how much this game means. So to ever predict a blowout in this game is just straight disrespect. But like I said, Bosco's going to have their hands full. They're going to need to stop Najee Calhoun. They're going to need to get past these stud skill position players that Bergen always does such a good job at recruiting. I'm interested to see what Jordan Thomas will do in this one. I expect Jermaine Kinsler get after the quarterback a little bit in this one. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends the day with 2 or 3 sacks. To give you a long-winded answer, yes, I am going with Bergen, but I'm always going to push for an overtime crazy finish, so I think they get this one done. I don't want to give a spread, but I think they get this one done by. Am I going to go as far as to say I think they get it done by 3 or fewer points? All right, that's my prediction. That's what I'm going with. Bergen Bosco, 2025 certified movie. All right, well, we're going to jump right into our interview portion of the show. Then we'll break down a couple of the rest of the games that are going on this weekend because Bergen Bosco, the big game on Friday, but on Saturday, we got a big one up in Jersey City. St. Peter's Prep hosting St. Joe's Montvale, another pair of undefeated Super Football Conference teams, that Big North Conference. Something scary. Like I said, top 10 in the nation. Fight me on that. But we got my guy Nate Bailey coming through, the Harvard commit, the senior, upstanding young man. Came on the show last year. It's crazy to see the progression that he's made. And St. Joe's, one of those scary teams. Wherever I don't know. I would have to check the rankings and everything, but this is arguably the third or second best. Bergen, Bosco, Joe's interchangeable. Well, I'll leave Bergen at that top spot. All right, I'll leave Bergen at the top spot. They are the champs, but that second and third spot definitely interchangeable. So we have our guy Nate Bailey going to talk a little bit about that matchup against the Marauders, who haven't scored less than 40 points this year on offense. So definitely going to be an exciting matchup there at Cave and Point. So like I said, without further ado, I'm going to shut up. Let's get into our 2 interviews. Makhai Allen of Don Bosco and Nate Bailey of St. Joe's Montvale coming at you right now. All right, our next guest has a huge, and that's an understatement, huge game against Bergen Catholic. It's one of the best rivalries in the country in sports history. Let's welcome in Don Bosco linebacker, Makhai Allen. Welcome, brother. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, thank you.
For sure, for sure. Listen, I know you're going to be bombarded with this question all week if you haven't already, but what's the vibes like getting ready for the rivalry in New Jersey this week?
Honestly, I say like our team is just really focusing on like our technique and just trying to get ourselves better, not worried about too much of the outside noise or what that other team has going on, just worrying about ourselves and focusing on what we got to do. So yeah.
Yeah, and both teams have been off to stellar starts here. You took on an out-of-state opponent going down to Melissa, Texas, and pulling one out for NJ. Appreciate you doing that. What was
Yes,
it like
sir.
to open up the season not only against the team from Texas, but you go down to the Lone Star State? Just take me through that whole experience of the Texas high school football to open the year.
It was honestly just crazy and such a blessing just to go in there with my teammates, especially in that type of game, because it was definitely a dogfight. Because we were down 10-0 at halftime, we were able to claw back and pull out a victory. So it was just such a blessing. And then also, it's my first time winning an out-of-state game since I've been at Bosco and a lot of my other teammates. So it was just truly a blessing and such a great feeling.
And I apologize. 1 second. Just want to make sure I have correct information here. But you know, that was such a huge win, like you said, for you guys, not only to get your first win of the year, but I know it was a long off season having lost the big one at MetLife Stadium. What was kind of the mantra, or what was Coach Sabella really preaching to you guys here in the off season, getting ready for
Uh,
2025?
Yeah, so one of the things he was preaching was we, which is win everything, and also what's important now. So we always focus on what's important now. So like winning in stretch lines, winning practice, winning in the lift, just whatever we do, just winning and focusing on the moment that's important at hand. So yeah,
Yeah, and you're like I said, you're going up against your rival this week. I know last year you saw him twice.
hmm
That regular season game, crazy. It's raining. You lose your starting quarterback, and you're very much still in it at the end of the game. And then the one, at MetLife, a little bit of a different story.
yeah.
you know, take me through both matchups with Bosco last year. Let's start with the first one. The rainy game. Devin Sisler goes out, and I know you were one of the guys that really just was really motivating that team there in the second half. So yeah, let's take me through the first matchup with Bergen last year.
Yeah, it was definitely a lot of mixed emotions and up downs with that game. But honestly, I'd probably say I don't think I've ever been more proud of my team with like the way we fought, trying to get that victory. And yeah, some things didn't go our way, but like as a life lesson, you win some, you lose some. Not everything's gonna go your way. So it's just how you prepare for the next one and how you face the adversity and get through it.
Yeah, and Coach Sabella, and the whole coaching staff really, after a loss like that, some teams can fold
Yeah,
emotionally and mentally, and it looked like I said that was probably the best thing that could have happened for them because it's a talented team, and you guys really just put your head down, went to work. So shout out to you guys.
thank you.
And like I said, the second matchup, not the same intensity, but just take me through what you guys learned from the state championship loss at MetLife.
Honestly, I feel like that loss just made our brotherhood even stronger and just our trust. Cause like honestly, I don't even know how to explain it. Cause after that game, like it was just next season mentality. We threw it away. What happened was what happened. The past is the past. We've just been focusing on this season and like during the off season, just focusing on getting better and just never letting that happen again. So yeah,
And you were a sophomore last year on that team. Obviously, they were
yeah,
they were looking to you to still make big plays and um,
yeah.
you know, carry load on your shoulders. Junior year this year, you were named a captain. Congratulations.
Thank you.
What was kind of your mindset coming into junior year, knowing now that you're gonna not only take on a bigger physical role on the team, now there's the leadership aspect of it. So just can you just speak to that?
Yeah, like what I try to do is, especially being captain, I always just try to lead by example, especially on game day. Like I just try to lead by example, give my team energy and courage by just like making plays. Anything bad happens, I try to encourage them, lift them up, because I know some like I've been through it a couple times. Sometimes when like you give up a play or like you don't do your job and it causes like a big like momentum changer, it could be like really like confidence like dropping and depriving. I couldn't think of the word I was looking for, but yeah, it could really like drop your confidence, and I know like how that feels. So I always just try to encourage them to keep their confidence at a high because I don't want them to feel what I felt when I had that problem.
And you had some great mentors. I mean, Don Bosco linebackers and D line, the last few years have been really, really special. Just talk about some of the guys and maybe coaches or alumni that have provided that mentorship for you on the
Yeah.
Ironmen.
Yeah, definitely. My three linebacker coaches, Coach Spence, Coach Ike, and Coach Tank, they guide me a lot through the game. Like just saying, like we don't care if you make mistakes, play fast. And even some of my teammates, like our senior linebacker Matt Penny, he's a great role model and great leader. Always like picking us up, like having us like just like level headed. Like he always keeps our like defense level headed. And Aiden O'Neal, he also helps with that too. So it's just a lot of guys on our team and on the defense when I'm on the field that just keep like everybody level headed, especially the coaches. So that's really what I can say about that.
I like that. I like that. So, like I said, we all know you're going up against Bergen this week. This is going to be this is your third being part of the third matchup for you, correct? Freshman,
Correct.
sophomore.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, in your time, in your short time with Don Bosco, or not short, but in your 3 years with Don Bosco,
Mhm.
what what does it mean going into this matchup? Junior year, just the history, and now having had a couple of these games under your belt so far.
Honestly, it's definitely a big game, but my mentality is just it's just another game. Just put the ball down and play. Because at the end of the day, my goal is to help my team come on top with a win, and I'm gonna do that to the best of my ability, just like any other game I would do. So yeah.
Awesome. Now, just from I want to hear from your perspective. Obviously, we know
Uh-huh.
these guys. We read the scouting reports and everything, but just from your mouth, who are some of the guys that we should be looking out for from the Ironmen in this one?
Honestly, our whole team, because our whole team, like that's all I can say about it. Is our whole team. We just have a different mentality like throughout this whole season. So our whole team is like I say you look out for our whole team because we definitely got some ballers on both sides.
For sure, for sure. And shout out to my guy Zay Alvarez. Just what are you know obviously we're gonna get into a little bit of game plan, but just what are you looking forward to most about that matchup on Friday night? Just taking like the football kind of like away from it. Just talk about the emotions that go into playing
Yeah,
a huge game like this.
yeah. I'm just looking forward to being in that atmosphere of my brothers because I truly do love those guys outside of football, and like I really do appreciate them. So I just can't wait to be in that atmosphere with them because I know that they're gonna play their heart out for me, and I'm gonna do the same for them. So I just can't wait.
And being home this time, that's got to do a little something. I know people say I don't care where we play it, but being home this time, like I say, you were
Yeah,
on the road for both of these matchups last year. That's got to add a little something to the fuel
yeah, it
tank.
definitely does. It definitely does.
That's what's up, man. Well, I'm not gonna keep you too much longer, Makhai, but I guess just a little bit. And obviously, I know you're not gonna give me a lot. Can't be giving away schemes and things like that.
Yeah.
But kind of reiterating my original question, practice this week. What is Coach really just stressing to you guys?
Well, I wasn't there the first day because unfortunately I was sick, but I'll be there tomorrow. But from what I've heard, I'm pretty sure they're just stressing like communication and then just technique. So yeah, I'm pretty sure from what I heard, that's what they're stressing a lot.
Awesome. Uh, so we were talking a little bit before we got started. I guess stepping away from Friday night, obviously, number one linebacker in New Jersey. A lot of offers for those who
Yeah.
don't know. Just list some of the attention that you've been getting here.
It's kind of hard to name them. I'll try to do my best. We got Michigan, Tennessee, Illinois, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Miami, Penn State, Wisconsin, NC State, Auburn, South Carolina, what else? UNC, um, West Virginia, Virginia Tech, Rutgers, um, Washington, UCF. Let's see if I could get like two more.
I know you could do it. Come on.
Uh, let me think. Let me think. Which one's in that? Oh, Oregon. One more. Let's see. For one more. One more. One more. I can't think. I'm braining out right now.
Miami. I could have swore I saw it. Did you
Yeah,
have a
yeah.
Miami
I
on
named
there?
Miami.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to think. It's like on the tip of my tongue. Like it's in my head, but I'm trying to think right now. Uh,
How about Q's?
yeah, Syracuse. There you go. That's what I was
All right,
thinking
I was
of.
gonna say if my guy Fran Brown didn't circle your
Yeah,
name like
nah, that's my
first in
guy.
this
That's my
class,
guy.
then we got some. They pulled
That's my
out of
guy.
they pulled it out against Clemson
Yeah,
this week.
I was thinking of them. They're on the tip of my tongue. I don't know why. I brained out.
Oh man, well that's incredible. Just obviously you'll make that decision when it comes. Just what's been the whole recruiting experience like for you, and what kind of player is a coach getting in a Makhai Allen?
The recruiting experience has definitely just been like God's blessing. Like it's such a great experience because I know a lot of kids aren't blessed with the opportunity to be like a scholarship player, or just like be highly recruited from like coaches all over the place. And I'm just truly blessed, and I just take it in day by day. And I feel like the coaches are getting it like from me, they're getting a player who wants to get better every day, and just a like somebody who just wants to be on the field, just wants to help them win the championship and just win games. That's the game for me.
I like that. I like that. I was on your profile. You're a Hillside guy, right?
Yeah, Hillside, Irvington area.
Who? Where'd you play your Pop Warner?
I played with Brixie in Silk City.
Coach Stanley Dennis. He's another one. Don't miss. That's my guy over there.
Yeah.
All right, Makai, I don't want to keep you too much longer, but like we said, huge rivalry game, a lot of history, a lot of players and things like that. For people who may not know, what is it like lacing it up for the Ironmen though, and just wearing that, wearing that white helmet and just like I say, you have a lot of you're putting a lot of tension and on yourself and things like that. But for those who don't know, just the community relationship, what goes into being an Ironman.
Definitely a lot of like blood, sweat, and tears. But at the end of the day, it all pays off, I would say, because like the work we put in throughout the days, like during the season, off season, it's just a lot that like we go through. And so I say like with the results that we get from just putting on those helmets and jerseys and just going out there with the team and just balling, it's just like such a great feeling. It's such a good experience to just be able to like put the coaching and work that we put in to use. So I say like that's the type of feeling you get.
Okay. So the Bergen offense, a lot of hitters, rising
Mhm.
quarterback. They got some receivers like Austin Busso,
Mhm.
and arguably the number one running back in the state in Najee Calhoun.
Mhm.
What's just going to be your mindset for Friday night, and how does a Don Bosco stop an offense like that?
My mindset is just, like we all bleed the same. So it's just another game, another player. No matter what, I think about it as myself the same way. I'm just another player. Like I might be a force, all that stuff, but I don't think of it that way as when I'm going in the game. I'm just a player who just out there trying to make plays and help my team win. So that's what I'm gonna try to do. No matter who they have on that side, no matter what they do, I'm gonna just go try to ball out and do like to the best of my abilities. Like help my team win that game.
I love that. I love that. Couldn't have said it better myself. Makai, before I let you go, Uh, I just want to give you the mic for any parting words. And what do people need to know about the Ironman this Friday night?
Uh, just be ready for a show. Ironman coming to ball out, so go get your tickets and tune in. That's all I can say.
Yes, get your tickets. Get there like 3 hours because the parking. That's
Yeah,
one
it's
thing.
gonna
You
be
guys might
crazy.
be rivals. You might be rivals, but the parking situation is damn near pretty close. We gotta. I don't know. We need a donor to donate a parking lot up there. But Makai, God bless. Good luck this
Thank you.
Friday, man. And
Thank you so
above
much.
all, yeah, two things: ball out, and above all, just have fun, man. All right,
Yes,
love
sir.
watching you play,
Thank you.
and I hope to be there this Friday to see it in person.
Yes, sir. Sounds good.
All right, our next guest has a huge, and it's an understatement, huge game against St. Peter's Prep this Saturday. Let's welcome in the Harvard commit. Yes, he sits in all the front of every single class, Mr. Nate Bailey. Welcome,
Thank you.
brother.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
For sure, you were one of our first guests last year, so we no brainer. We had to have you back, and
On the
you've
back.
gotten a lot of traction since then. So tell me, what's life been like for Mr. Nate Bailey here in your junior senior year,
Senior year.
senior year?
It's been good though. It definitely flew, but life's been busy. Still in school, still focusing on school. And then, just trying to be a leader in everywhere I could.
For sure. And I know you had a couple offers coming in last year and you made that commitment to the Harvard Crimson. Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Did you know you'd be a future Ivy Leaguer, and what went into the decision to pick Harvard?
I say growing up, I really didn't know. Like, I didn't know much about the Ivy League. It wasn't something that like I even thought about much. But once the opportunity presented itself, I definitely felt like it was a golden opportunity. I couldn't pass up on it. And then just the relationships I built with the coaching staff up there, those are my guys, and I talk to them frequently. So just looking forward to building that with them.
And they definitely like their fair share of Jersey guys. Sent a couple good players up that way. So I wish you nothing but the best. It's a great city. Um, I'm a little biased if you can't tell, but yeah, it's a great city. But you know, commitments aside, like I said, you got a big one this week against St. Peter's Prep. Both teams are 4-0. I mean, you're 4-0, they're 3-0. Both teams undefeated. Uh, I know you've seen a couple out-of-state opponents and Paramus Catholic so far, but tell me what's been working for the Green Knights and what's the vibes been like so far in 2025 for you guys?
We're not changing much, just doing the things the way we're used to doing them. Just honing in on the little details and just focusing, taking it a day at a time. We'll just be ready when the day comes.
And last year this was kind of the storyline. Coach Augie's back, but that's had to have made a difference in that locker room. So just talk about what coach has really been preaching to you guys so far early in the season.
I think it all goes back to just doing the little things right. He definitely preaches all the time, just doing the right thing all the time, being the guy who's always in the right place at the right time. It's no shortcut to success, and it's you do it by doing the right thing. So that's what we focus on in our locker room.
I know the season didn't end the way you guys wanted to, but you were definitely one of the competitors to watch, and you guys are star-studded from top to bottom. And I know you lost some players like Jameer Joseph, who's a absolute stud. But it looks so far you'll be able to kind of you guys have reloaded pretty well. So uh, yeah, just talk about what's been kind of working for St. Joseph so far in 2025.
Yeah, I think the best thing about a place like St. Joe's is you got your John Mayer Josephs, and then he's also giving gems and jewels to the guys under him, and that's why they're able to produce the way that they are and have been recently. So, we just we help each other whenever we could. Just real teammates, real brothers.
And I know you were in some tough battles last year. That Bergen Catholic game, I mean, obviously, I know you guys are going to take that as a L, the first meeting, but that was some great football. I mean, for your New Jersey high school football fan, that's one you definitely got to rewatch.
Yeah.
What did you guys learn from a loss like that? I know you didn't have your starting quarterback, but you guys still looked really good despite taking the L. So what did you kind of learn from those two meetings from Bergen?
I know the first one we weren't too we didn't operate well. We made a lot of careless mistakes, and in the second game we kind of tightened up the details. It was just a matter of who can be tougher longer, and they came out on top. But that loss for us, we never forgot about it, and we just kept working. It's on the back of our head still.
And interesting, you guys have played more out of state opponents this season so far than New Jersey opponents. So, how do you think that has helped or fared your game?
We played some pretty good teams, all great programs. The first visit was St. John's College, who they came out and they have some heavyweight guys too. And I think it all helps. I think Jersey has really good football, and I think some other states have good football as well. So it's just felt good to get out and compete.
Yeah, man, and you're definitely going to be competing out there on the road this week, going to Cave and Point, hostile territory. You know, and from your memories, what's it like playing at a place like that?
I played there my sophomore year, and it was a night game, but it was crazy. It was loud, so it's just all about trying to control and stay poised through all that noise and just focus on the task at hand.
Yeah, they're gonna be gunning for you. You guys have taken the last three meetings, I believe. The last time they won was in 2022. Does that factor in at all?
Definitely, I still remember that loss. I was a freshman. I didn't. I saw the field a little bit, and I got to I got to experience that loss and I got to experience the win. So we just trying to stay on the right path.
Yeah. Now, you know, you're an athlete. Yeah, I know that you do whatever the team asked of you. And a tough task for the Green Knights this weekend is going to be going up against a St. Peter's Prep offense that hasn't scored less than 40 points. So, can you just talk about that and how you would be able to stop this Marauder offense that's pretty hot right now?
Yeah, that's definitely a great offense, explosive. Got some explosive guys over there, but we just try to focus on what we have. Just trying to get right where we could, fill in any gaps and holes that we have, and we'll be ready. And I know they will, so it'll be some good football for sure.
Yeah, and I know it's early here in the practice week, but from game tape, just preparation, what does Coach Augie have you guys focusing in on for St. Peter's Prep?
We're just trying to be physical. We feel like during the off season, we put in a extra amount of work, a lot of work that certain guys haven't put in, and I know those guys work hard. So it's just who can be tougher longer, who can be mentally tough for the longest amount of time.
And have you gotten a chance to watch a lot of game tape on St. Peter's Prep?
Definitely, definitely. They got some good dudes. They play some really good football so far. So we're just looking forward to it. Looking forward to a good battle.
Yeah, and this is one of those battles that it might not be your direct rival, but Super Football Conference, football is unmatched. I think it's the top 10 conference in the country. What does it mean that you get to take part in one of the state's best battles, and you share in a little place of history?
Yeah, definitely. It's not a direct rival, but at the end of the day, in this conference, every week is almost like a rivalry game. It's always going to be a tough opponent. Everybody got guys, so it means a lot. But we just want to take advantage of the opportunity.
I love that. I love that. um you know I see you added another coach on there's another coach on the coach staff, my guy Tariq Holman. uh you have a network of some incredible alumni. For those who don't know, just talk about some of the support you get at St. Joe's, and just what goes along with playing at a storied program like that.
Yeah, definitely. Along with the brotherhood, you also got your coaches and your mentors, the guys who you can ask about anything on the field, off the field. Coach Holman's been a great addition. We all love him, and I'm ready to run through a brick wall for him at any moment. So I know he'll put in some stuff for this weekend, and the guys will be ready to go.
I don't want to keep you too much longer. What are you looking forward to most about Saturday afternoon, trekking up to Jersey City with your guys?
I'm looking forward to people seeing the the new St. Joe's. I wouldn't say the new because it's really the old St. Joe's. It's just the type of vibe that we want to bring back. We want to bring back the old school, hard mouth, physical St. Joe's football. So hopefully you guys can get to see that this weekend.
That's awesome. I hope we do too. And I think I'm gonna have to hop out to Jersey City for that one. Now, the road's only gonna get tougher for you. I believe you have Bosco the following week.
Yeah.
Yes. And then you'll take on a Pope John, then you'll end the season with Bergen and
Sure.
DePaul. So just talk about how I guess it's one game at a time, but just kind of talk about the rest of your schedule remaining that's pretty tough.
Oh yeah, we know it gets no easier from here on out, and this is why we hone back on what we did during the off season. All the hard work that we put in, and we think it pays off at about right now. So we'll be good.
And out of those remaining games, do any of them stick out for you that you're really just itching for?
Definitely, all the ones we weren't able to finish last year, because we want to be a different team than we were last year, and you can't do that putting up the same numbers and making the same mistakes. So we definitely want to correct some wrongs that we made last year.
All right. And Nate, what can fans expect out of you this Saturday against St. Peter's Prep?
Hopefully, some explosive plays. Just playing the same football that we've been playing, just at a higher level, at a more competitive level. Just ready to do some big things.
Awesome. And before I let you go, what does the rest of the state need to know about these St. Joe's Green Knights going forward?
If you don't know yet, you'll see, man. We'll be ready for whoever, whenever. Line it up.
Mr. Nate Bailey, upstanding young man, as well as a great football player. I appreciate you stopping by. I wish you nothing but the best. God bless. And I think I'm going to be seeing you on Saturday. So good luck.
Good to see you then. Thank you for having me.
For sure, brother. Take care.
Have a good one.
Bergen Bosco, not the only game on the docket for this weekend. Let's take a look at the rest of our games of the week. And let's give our public school guys some love. Our public school game of the week featuring Camden and Rancocas Valley. The Panthers 3-1 traveling over to RV, who remains undefeated. This one has the potential to be a movie. Camden winning the last two meetings between these two. Rancocas Valley on fire this season. We had Coach Garrett Lucas to kick off our first show, and since then the Red Devils have not looked back. And you know, Savion Adams continues to be a force for them. Now RV, despite having that great year last year, lost this one pretty handedly. Camden took it 44-27. I think RV is on a tear this year, personally. I think with Toms River North being a little down, listen, you won back to back. Did they three-peat? Whatever. Now that Toms River North isn't what they were in the past couple of years, Group 5, especially for the South, I think is wide open for Rancocas Valley. Now, I think this one will be a lot closer than 44-27, but both these teams playing really well right now. I know Camden had that crazy 1-point loss to Shawnee, and I don't think that's indicative of their season because they bounced back against Holy Spirit. This is going to be a tough one. I think considering RV won it last year, I am going to give them a little bit of an edge, just because I think they're having probably their best season, I would say, in like 10 years. Um, so shout out to them. I do think this is going to be a great matchup, and I'm excited that it is our public school game of the week. So if you're around Friday night, 6 p.m., Burlington County, sorry, check that out. Check that out. All right, jumping into the rest of the NJ Athletics games of the week provided by NJ Gridiron. More South Jersey matchups going down. All right, let's start off with Friday night. We have Holy Spirit, who's 2-2, taking on Cedar Creek. Cedar Creek with that crazy loss to Old Bridge. Shout out to Middlesex County, the Old Bridge Knights handing Cedar Creek their first loss at Battle of the Beach. Since then, they're on a 3-game win streak, and they're taking on Holy Spirit. Now, Spirit did own the matchup last year. And I believe they're coming off a loss. But this will definitely be a good test for Cedar Creek. I don't know if they're as star-studded as in years past, but they are very coached well, and they find a way to get it done. So I think Cedar Creek keeps it rolling, and they get their fourth straight. Another great South Jersey matchup going down in Burlington County, Burlington Township, Delran. This one's always good. These two trading the matchups the last 2 years. I think the Falcons are going to look to make it back-to-back years, but they both entered this one 4-0. Coach Stephen Everett has the Burlington Township playing really hard this year. I would not be surprised if they are the favorite. To not only make a sectional championship, but I think we could see them going to I don't know if they would go to MetLife. The playoff scheduling has been so crazy these last couple of years, but Burlington Township has been doing phenomenal this year. They have a great quarterback. We had him on the show. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not too well versed on Delran, but just following Burlington Township this year, I don't expect them to lose this one, but it is a close rivalry. These two are undefeated, so anything can happen. I'm just going to give a little bit of edge to the Falcons in this one. Elizabeth taking on St. Thomas Aquinas, the Minutemen, with back-to-back non-public opponents. They lost to St. Joseph Metuchen last week, but I keeping up with Elizabeth. Um, you know, they're an interesting team. I mean, they put up points. They look good. I wouldn't hold that loss to St. Joseph Metuchen as a panic situation. I mean, you're taking on a non-public, and so far they have dominated the teams that they're supposed to. I know they lost a close one to Bayonne, but you know, um, their quarterback, Arik Fleming, I mean, he's been tearing it up all year long. So if they're gonna have any chance at taking down St. Thomas Aquinas, who has taken a little bit of a step back with their whole coaching situation, letting go Coach Tariq Holman, hiring another coach, and he's out. So they have bigger issues than football over there. But I expect Elizabeth to get a bounce back game, and yeah, like I said, the Minutemen, I think they're in a unique situation because they have the chance to kind of with their schedule here, they're going to take on Bridgewater Raritan, who can fight. We've gotten them once. We've gotten them once this year, but they're going to end the season with Morristown, Watchung Hills, and Union. They win those. Who knows? They had a high seed in the playoffs. So keep an eye on the Minutemen. All right. Team we were just talking about, Westfield at St. Joseph Metuchen. St. Joseph Metuchen balling right now. They are undefeated. Like I said, coming off a big win against Elizabeth. I expect them to get this win over Westfield. Westfield is just a little young. Saw them against Phillipsburg. And, this St. Joseph Metuchen this St. Joseph Metuchen team on offense, relentless in that big win over Elizabeth last week. So I expect them to keep doing their thing. And yeah, look out for the Falcons on Friday night. And I'm trying to pull up their schedule right now just to see who they have remaining. But here we go. But yes, they have Westfield, North Brunswick, who's having a bit of a tough year. And they're going to take on Phillipsburg on Saturday the 11th. That's a huge one. I'm going to have to pop out for that one. And they'll take on St. Thomas Aquinas. And then they have Woodbridge, the Fighting Joe Georges, who are 4-0 right now. Talk about the Woodbridge Barons shocking some folk. I love it. I love it. So, yeah, check out that Joe's Westfield on Friday night. And then if you're in the northern part of the state, you'll want to trek up to Wayne. You have 1-3 Paramus Catholic taking on 3-1 DePaul. DePaul's only lost to Our Lady of Good Counsel from Maryland. So they have yet to lose to an NJ opponent. Paramus Catholic, I know they've had a bit of a rocky start here, being 1-3. They've also taken on some out-of-state opponents. DePaul's on their home turf. I expect them to win this one convincingly, but when it comes to these Super Football Conference matchups, especially with the non-publics, it's anybody's game. So I expect Coach Greg Russo to have some fight in his guys, but I'll give the advantage to DePaul for now. Brick Township, Central Regional, two undefeated. Oh, sorry, not two undefeated teams, but 2 3-1 teams. This is a great Ocean County matchup. My guy Jay Graber has the Dragons looking pretty good right now. Can they get it done on the road in hostile territory? This will be a very, very telling game for them. listen, my heart is telling me to go. My gut instinct, not my heart, but my gut instinct is for me to go with Central Regional because they are hosting. But I'm gonna give a little bit of an interesting take and say that Brick Township has some of that special Elvis dust. They're feeling themselves right now, so I'm going to give them the advantage here on the road. All right, Homedale taking on RBC. We have Jack Cannon traveling down to the Shrewsbury area to take on the Caseys, who are headlined by two amazing freshmen who have been tearing it up. Going to have to get one or if not both of them on the show, but they're going to try to protect their home turf against Jack Cannon, who's arguably top quarterback in the state this year, took down RFH and has just been on a tear. This will be a huge win for them if they can pull this one off. RBC has been impressive this year, definitely a step up from last year. I think Homedale is also one of those teams though that is just they got a great player and this is a small window for them, so I think they will capitalize. I'm going to give the Hornets the win here on the road. Millville, Winslow, a great South Jersey matchup. I know it is not the season Bolts fans have wanted to see. They are all 1-3. Winslow 2-2, both losses to IMG and Bergen Catholic. So, what are we kind of talking about here? This is the best public school team in New Jersey, arguably. They have star wideouts. They have a couple guys on the D line. Then obviously our guy Jalen Parker holding it down at quarterback. He's been doing a great job, and I think he will Winslow to I believe their fourth straight win over Millville, but I don't expect the Bolts to just lay over. They will fight. And of course, the last game we just spoke to Nate Bailey. Now, Uh, I have heard some conflicting reports. I don't know how true it is that Lamar Best and Nate might not play in that game. I don't know how true that is. I don't know if that's just rumors, but it's just something to consider. This way, you know, when you're listening to this, you hear other reports that, call me a liar or whatever. I'm doing all I could do here, bro. But St. Joe's, St. Peter's, I mean, this is a great Super Football Conference matchup. Like I said, both teams undefeated. Both teams just impressive here to start the year. Now, Peters, most of their wins coming against public school teams. Nothing wrong with that. I just think the level of competition is going to be ramped up in this one. And then Joe's, I mean, like you just heard on the interview with Nate after this game. I mean, this game is tough. I'm not saying it's not, but their schedule is insane. Yeah, so St. Peter's, actually their last loss was to Joe's. Yes, their last loss was to Joe's. They lost 20-7. That was in the quarterfinals of the non-public A playoffs. So far this year, they have taken out the likes of Paramus Catholic to start the year, Union City, Shabazz, and they're coming off a big win over Del Barton. So, it's kind of hard to judge their strength of schedule right now, considering Joe's opened up the year with a big win over three out-of-state opponents, and convincingly won that game against Cardinal Hay from the Bronx, 48-0. So, they're feeling themselves. Joe's also took out the likes of Paramus Catholic, which that was a somewhat close game by the box score, but this is going to be a tough battle. Like I said, St. Peter's Prep hasn't scored less than 40 points so far this year. As mentioned, the strength of schedule might play a part in that. But if I had to make a prediction, I do like Joe's chances. Obviously, if it is true that Nate doesn't play, that'll be a huge detriment to the just all sides of the ball, because the kid gets it done everywhere, no matter where you put him. Prep is really going to have to play some good defense here. I saw them against Shabazz, but like I said, that was not a great telling of what their potential can be. And the road is only going to get harder for these guys. I don't know if that's the way the coaches wanted the schedule made up, but they'll both be battle tested. And regardless, it's crazy to say these are two good teams and their schedules are only going to get harder. So I'm going to give a slight advantage to Joe's. And I think they win this one by a touchdown. All right. Well, that is going to do it for our week 4 kickoff show. Thank you guys for stopping by. Look, I'm genuinely excited for this matchup. I keep saying it, but Bergen Bosco, it's something special. It's part of our state's athletic history. It honestly, you ask people around the country, and trust me, I've been to the West Coast, and whenever I say I'm from New Jersey, it's either one or the other. People always tell me, Don Bosco football, Bergen Catholic football. So it really does bring joy to my heart that we do give recognition, and these young men and programs and people have paved the ways for this matchup to be what it is. The Coach Greg Tolles of the world, and like I said, Vito Campanelli, and now, Coach Sabella, he enters his name into the matchup. So regardless of whatever happens, it's a great matchup. Like I said, it's hard to predict an exact outcome for this one. I will be I will be happy being pleasantly surprised. So I guess you could say I'm never dead set on having my predictions be right, because I always love to be proven wrong. All right, well, I'm going to shut up, everybody. I'm going to give you my normal spiel. Enjoy the games this weekend. Act right. Represent your community and your family well. And we'll see you back here next week. All right? Fresh cookies. Peace.